So when I first think of wire, I don't think of this material that is something that is life-altering type of cool. But then I remember how many different ways to use it, and I changed my mind very, very quickly. So in this video, are we not only going to show you how to use wire to help make your fly stronger and stuff like that, we're going to show you 3 different ways of how to use wire as a standalone material to create bodies that are super cool, totally bulletproof, have great flashing color. Kick back and relax. This is gonna be a good one. So Ultra Wire comes in 3 different sizes, and stick with me because this is funky. There's small, there's brassy, and there's medium. Brassy is in between medium and small. I'm not 100% sure why brassy has to be a size. I think that's super ridiculous, but that's what we've got. For the most part, I'm going to be tying with small and medium. If I'm going to be tying in like sizes 14 and smaller, I'm definitely going small. But for the vast majority of the nymphs that I tie, I'm going to tie in medium. And I'm going to have a load of different colors. So first off, wire is mostly known as a counter wrapping method to create a stronger body out of weaker materials. So when you're talking about tying a prince nymph with peacock herl, or if you're talking about a pheasant tail tied with pheasant tail fibers, neither one of those materials, be it pheasant tail or peacock, is very strong in and of itself. When you wrap it on a hook, the material itself is not strong. So if you don't counter wrap it with wire, what you end up with is a fly that's not going to be very stout, and one little tooth from a fish can totally kill your fly. But by simply counter wrapping your wire around and over your peacock herl or your pheasant tail fibers, that instantly makes your fly way more durable, and it adds a little bit of flash. So for the first technique that we're really going to jump into, we're going to go to this 3-wire technique that I first saw my buddy Steve Daly make on his tailwater jig. So Daly's tailwater jig is a 3-wire technique going up the abdomen that creates even more separation between the colors than a normal like 2-wire wrap would and stuff like that. I thought it was a great idea, but what it really does is creates depth. And anything that helps create depth within one material is a really good thing. So we're going to jump into tying Daly's tailwater jig, and I'm going to show you this 3-wire technique. So a 3-wire setup is pretty self-explanatory, but you want to make sure of just a couple different things. So on a 3-wire setup, typically what you're looking for are 2 wires to be the same color and 1 wire to be like vastly different. What this will end up doing is making the segmentation very obvious, and it gives a great effect. So first of all, a wire body is only as good as the thread that's underneath it. So we want to make sure that our thread is flat. So we're going to start off by spinning it and flattening our thread out. See how flat that thread is? That's what we need. Very flat thread underneath equals a smooth wire body. We're going to tie our wire in pretty much how we want to wrap it on the hook. We definitely want to tie them in with the 2 darker wires touching each other versus being split by the lighter color. So I'm going to lay these on top. So now we have all 3 wires wrapped in together. So the first thing we want to do is make the bend right here as strong as possible. So I'm going to actually push on the hook as I pull the wires toward me from the underneath side. This will give us a straight wrap right off the bat. And then we're just gonna wrap touching wraps all the way up the hook. And then with some old scissors, cut that wire out. The main thing you have to watch out for with wire is the end points. It will cut your thread. So always roll them around the hook after you cut them off or break them off. And to finish off Dali's tailwater jig, we're gonna finish with some ice dub. Three-wire setup, Dali's tailwater jig, super cool. So for the next technique, we're going to step back to something that's actually pretty old. There was an old school wet fly / nymph that I used a lot several years ago that I really loved, and I kind of forgot how good this fly is. So this old school wet fly / nymph is actually tied with just one color of wire. We have extra segmenting in the body with wire. Two different techniques of tying with wire in one fly. So you have your standard just body wrapped wire, and then you have a counter rib over the wire. Super cool. So not only do you have your standard wire body wrapped up the shank of the hook, but you also have a counter rib of the same colored wire going up it. We add depth to the fly. It also adds a little bit extra weight and a little bit extra flash, but this is depth so it's not just a single color up the body that's only going to grab light and different things to make it flash in one way. It's going to grab it in several different angles. I hope that makes sense. So as you can tell, if it just had the wire body underneath this, it would be a plenty flashy fly. But since it has the counter rib, it adds a little bit of dimension to it. So for this technique, we want to have two different lengths of the same color of wire. We're going to tie them in at the same time down the top of the hook. Again, we want to have very flat thread underneath this body. We're going to take the longest wire and wrap touching wraps all the way up the length of the shank of the hook. And helicopter this off. Now we're going to take the extra wire and wrap the opposite direction that we wrapped this first wire with. So we're going to basically counter rib our wire. And we'll wrap this with fairly open wraps all the way up the shank of the hook. So this effect creates a segmented body with more segments, creating depth in the fly, adding a little bit more weight. Great technique. So now we're going to jump into something that I was completely infatuated with just not that long ago, and that's a woven body technique. Now, I know most of the time when you think of a woven body, you think of vinyl rib or you think of floss or, something like that. But a wire woven body is absolutely one of the coolest things ever. It makes the most bulletproof fly that you can dream of. It helps with a flat profile. So this is one of the coolest techniques I can show you using wire. But fair warning, this is one of the most addictive things that I've ever come across. You're going to start weaving everything. So the first step on weaving with wire is you want two different colors of the same wire, same size wire. One that is obviously darker than the other. And my technique on this is I like to tie the wires in one at a time on each side of the hook so we get a flatter profile. So I'm going to tie the chartreuse in on the far side of the hook. And the black in on my side of the hook, the back side of the hook. All while keeping a very flat thread. And now we're going to whip finish. If you tie your wire in on each side of the hook, it makes this very flat profile. So it's wider than it is tall. I'm going to start off by inverting my vise. This gives me the easiest way to weave while keeping the hook point out of the way and everything like that. And one of the main things you have to remember is your lighter color will never go on what is the top of the hook. And your darker color will never go on what's the underneath side of the hook. So you want your darker color to be what is going to be on top of the fly that we have inverted right here. And your lighter color to be on the underneath side of the fly. So I'm going to start by bringing the chartreuse over to this side. I'm going to wrap the black wire around the chartreuse and bring it to the other side. With every bend of the wire, we want to give a good strong tug just to make it a good tight connection. And now, keeping going in the same direction, the chartreuse is going to come underneath on the underneath side of the hook. The black wire is wrapped over and brought on the back side of the hook back over to your other side. And then you'll just continue this all the way up the hook. Chartreuse goes under, black wraps around, pull tight, and switch sides. Chartreuse goes under, black goes around, and switch sides. Once we get to this point, we're going to go ahead and reattach our thread. We're going to give a good pull across each other and then tie down our wires. So what you end up with is a really, really good looking tight body that's completely indestructible, that has a darker shell than it does the underneath side. The woven wire abdomen is so cool. So I hope this video has helped you guys look at tying with wire in maybe a little bit of an unconventional way. Sure, you're going to county rib your prince nymphs and your pheasant tails with wire. Guaranteed, you're going to do that. But tying a body of wire in these several different techniques that I've showed you increases flash, increases durability through the roof, and it's just fun to do. Oh, and adds a little bit of weight too. You know, there's that. But yeah, go buy a bunch of wire in different colors and different sizes. Remember, the sizes are funky. Just remember that. There will be a link in the description of this video that'll take you to the wire page on Feathercraft. You can buy all the wire you want to. Yeah, I would. I really would. So thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. So now we're going to give away the fly from the previous video. We're going to put something together to give away. Flies and stickers. Good stuff. I'm out of practice on this stuff. My apologies. But the random comment generator picked Gage Allenson? Something like that. Gage, get with me on Instagram or shoot me an email and I'll send you a care package for your chance to win the flies I've tied in this video. Subscribe to my channel, like the video, and comment on this video. And I'll have the random comment generator pick a comment. Give you some stuff. Yeah.